Have you ever wondered why we sometimes feel stuck or lost in life? What causes this feeling, and why do so many of us battle with the same sense of overwhelm? Often, from an objective perspective, your life might look just fine on the outside, and you might even be telling yourself, or others might tell you, that you should be happy, because you have so much to be grateful for. But despite this, you can't help feeling stuck and unhappy. Why is this? Viktor Frankl, psychologist and Nazi concentration camp survivor, believed that this is because the most fundamental human need is the need to find meaning. Even if our lives look perfect on the outside, but we derive no meaning from the things that we keep ourselves busy with, we will experience a feeling of emptiness or stuckness, or we will feel lost and unable to determine what our next step should be. You will feel lost, stuck, frustrated, or bored, or even downright depressed, because there is simply no meaning. Frankl advises that instead of asking what the meaning of your life is, you should rather contemplate what life is calling you to do. Nietzsche's words then, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how," very succinctly summarizes Frankl's approach in his book Man's Search for Meaning. According to Frankl, there are three ways in which you can derive meaning in your life, or three possible whys that you can cultivate. Firstly, there is the meaning we derive out of creating something or doing work that matters. For each person, that would be different. Most artists and musicians are driven by a desire to create and to give expression to their authentic selves through their art or their music. But across various industries, we find people who love the work they do and who derive immense satisfaction from their work. When our work adds to our sense of authentic purpose, we can endure difficult working conditions because the actual work matters so much. Some of us don't necessarily derive the meaning we are looking for from our work, but we do find it in the connections we have with others. The second way in which you can therefore derive a sense of meaning or purpose in your life is by loving another person more than you love yourself. Our loved ones, our family and friends can be tremendous sources of meaning, especially if they depend on us and we spend a lot of time building quality relationships with them. There are also those of us who do not have loved ones to share our journey with, or who have lost our loved ones or even our work, and thus we now face very difficult and trying circumstances. Having survived the Nazi concentration camps, Frankl could relate strongly to the challenge of finding meaning in such circumstances, and he concluded that there is one factor that separates those who survived and lived from those who did not: meaning. Thus, the attitude you take when faced with unavoidable suffering, in other words, having dignity in your suffering, is what helps you to overcome the difficult circumstances and emerge stronger. Knowing in your heart that the suffering you are enduring will also end, and approaching the challenges you face as opportunities to learn and to become a better person, provide a sense of meaning and purpose when there is none. We have heard the zero to hero stories of people overcoming the most difficult obstacles and becoming successful beyond even their own imagination. What it took was commitment, perseverance, hard work, and the belief that they could change their destiny. In summary, to derive authentic meaning from your life, you must either find work that gives you the sense that you're working towards something bigger than yourself, or you must find purpose and inspiration from your relationships with others. Some of us are faced with difficult circumstances that cause us tremendous suffering. The only way to overcome the suffering is by finding the meaning within the suffering, or the purpose to be achieved once the suffering has ended. This could be in the form of work that we want to do, or something we want to create or give to the world. In other words, our calling. Or it could be because someone loves us and depends on us, and they give meaning to our lives. In his book, Authentic Happiness, psychologist Martin Seligman discusses three possible paths to enduring happiness, or three lives that one can choose to pursue. The first option is the pleasant life. For the pleasant life, the aim is to have as much fun as possible and to amplify the experience of positive emotional states whilst minimizing suffering wherever possible. Although there is nothing wrong with this life choice in principle, it does present the challenge of having to constantly chase the next thrill or the next pleasurable experience, since pleasant emotions are not enduring. The initial euphoria that accompanies a new experience soon wears off, and you must keep looking for pleasant experiences. Of course, there are also authors who believe that pursuing the pleasant life is a selfish choice because it focuses only on your own personal pleasure and thus adds no value to anyone else. What sets human beings apart from other animals is that we can choose to pursue meaning over happiness. The second life path that you can pursue is the engaged life. In the engaged life, you identify your highest strengths and talents, and you recraft your life to use your strengths as much as possible in work, love, friendships, parenting, and leisure. So in other words, you pursue long-term gratification over short-term pleasure, and you try to use your skills and talents to live a fulfilling and connected life. The third option is the meaningful life. In pursuit of the meaningful life, you also identify your highest strengths and talents, but you put this to service of something that you believe in or that you consider bigger than yourself. This could be anything, and it would be different for every person. However, in the meaningful life, balance between work, family, and leisure is sometimes foregone for the single-minded pursuit of this purpose that is larger than the self. As you can imagine, choosing to pursue the engaged life or the meaningful life doesn't guarantee happiness. In fact, it often leads to frustration, struggle, and even disappointment. But the suffering is endured with dignity because you have a greater purpose that you want to accomplish. So your life might not be a happy 100% of the time, but you will have more meaning than if you simply strive to be happy all of the time. Research has shown that people who choose meaning over happiness are less likely to feel stuck or lost when they find themselves in difficult situations, because they see the challenging times as stepping stones along the way to accomplishing their purpose. The struggles and challenges aren't obstacles, they are learning opportunities. This is what Frankl meant with the attitude you take when faced with unavoidable suffering. Sometimes we must suffer for our calling or for the life that we want to build for ourselves. The important and worthwhile things in life often don't come without sacrifice. At the Leap Academy, we don't prescribe to our clients which life path they should pursue. However, our Leap journey is specifically tailored for those people who want to pursue an engaged or a meaningful life. So how does the Leap journey enable you to pursue an engaged or meaningful life? We trust that you watched the TED Talk by Carolyn McHugh on the art of being yourself. If you haven't, then please watch her talk first, because we will be expanding on her ideas here to explain to you how the Leap journey works. According to Carolyn McHugh, the self that you claim to be is difficult to identify since there are so many different versions of you or of the self. What she refers to as the I complex, we call the constructed self. What you must understand about the constructed self is that each person has all 4 layers of the constructed self in their concept of their own identity or who they consider themselves to be. Most of our clients approach us because they've become stuck in their perception selves and they no longer know who they are. They feel like they're constantly having to live up to others' expectations and maintain the perception of them doing well and being happy and successful. But internally they are struggling. They don't know who they really are, and they're scared to be themselves out of fear that they will be ostracized and rejected by those that they care about. They feel like they're going through the motions, but like their lives have no substance and bring them no joy. At the Leap Academy, we believe that the secret to success in life and career is to first know and understand your real self before attempting to reinvent your personal brand. Most coaching solutions focus on changing external behavior, and they thus only focus on the perception self. This explains why the results are short-term, and soon after the coaching intervention ends, the person reverts to their old behaviors. Real and enduring change requires deep self-work and the willingness to figure out who you are underneath all of the different layers of the self. as well as the desire to embrace the real self and grow your unique strengths and capabilities for self-innovation. For this reason, we start the journey with a process of self-discovery, where we peel away the different layers of the constructed self and work on identifying and understanding the real self, or what we call the authentic self. In phase 1, we put perception, persona, and ego aside, and we study the authentic self. We provide you with many opportunities to investigate your authentic self from different angles. We start the process of self-discovery by identifying your personality type and your core fear as well as your core motivation. We look at your blind spots and unconscious behaviors. And then we help you investigate and question your personal and work values and reflect on your life and career experiences. We also look at your different life dimensions to give you a holistic perspective of the different areas of your life and help you identify the areas that are most problematic. All of this is done so that you can formulate a holistic picture of who you are, what drives you, and what matters most to you and why. With this knowledge in hand, you are in a much better position to formulate your authentic purpose, or your why, as well as identify the areas in your life that you need to grow in order to live a more engaged and meaningful life. Phase 2 of the LEAP journey focuses on helping you grow the best parts of yourself, or work on the areas in your life that are preventing you from living a more engaged or meaningful life. In phase 2, we help you change the way you think and learn. We encourage you to start thinking about your future self, the person you want to become, and to evaluate your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes to identify those self-limiting and destructive thoughts and beliefs that are holding you back from becoming your future self. We highlight the importance of health and vitality over a long life and ways in which you can take care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. We help you identify the most important relationships in your life and find ways to nurture those relationships. We are all social animals, and we need strong support networks to support our personal growth and development. We need friendship, love, and companionship, as these things are critical to an engaged and meaningful life. We look at ways in which you could go about financing a long life that will allow for continuous self-renewal and reinvention, since this is the only way to survive in the future world of work. Additionally, we provide you with resources to help you cultivate emotional agility and mindfulness and ways to build your social capital and expand your network. All of these efforts in phase 2 gradually reshape your ego self because it helps you establish a balance between self-congratulation and self-castigation. In other words, you learn to own and value your unique strengths. At the same time, you learn ways to accept, deal with, or minimize your weaknesses so that they no longer present obstacles to finding and living a life of joy, meaning, and purpose. We also gradually work on your persona self in this phase, since persona refers to the self that you present to the world. It's how you would like others to see you. Each of the courses in phase 2 present you with practical steps and challenges that you can take to change your beliefs and your destructive behavior. So the more you practice and work at becoming your future self, the more your current self will change in line with that. You will start showing a different persona self to the world that is more in line with who you really are. Phase 3, you are finally ready to take a leap and embark on a practical LEAP project. A LEAP project can be anything you want to pursue to practice the new skills you've acquired, or to make tangible changes in the most problematic areas of your life. A LEAP project could be big, like going back to university, enrolling for a course, changing your job or industry or career, becoming an entrepreneur, training for a marathon, traveling the world, or relocating to a new city or country. Or it could be smaller in size, like taking up running or healthy eating, putting yourself out there to make new friends or find a significant other, recrafting your existing job, upskilling in your current profession, or getting out of debt, etc. Your authentic self and your unique why will help you figure out what the right steps would be for you. Phase 3 presents you with more opportunities to build a new persona self, because you will find innovative ways of presenting your authentic self to the world and showing others what strengths you bring to the table and what you are capable of. Please note that we never work directly on perception self. Perception self is what others think of you. And as Carolyn McHugh said in her talk, you can never be perceptionless, but it is important to be perception free. What she meant by this is that you cannot control what others think of you. But if you are living a life that aligns with who you really are and that allows you to use your unique strengths and talents in ways that enhance both your life and the lives of others around you, you won't really care about what others think of you because you will realize that it doesn't matter. What matters is the engaged and meaningful life because YOLO, you only live once, so make it count.